Hey Internet, this is Gunter with MiniMishaps Games, and I painted more than 30 miniatures in 30 days, and we're going to tell you all about them. This was in preparation for our Make It From Scratch miniature series that we're going to be starting, so I tried to at least get an exposure to some of the art skills, since I previously have no art skills. And so painting was first up on the docket, and these are the models that I did. So get this started here. Alright, first up we've got this little bar patron guy, and he came with a dwarven forge Kickstarter. And so I definitely probably spent the most amount of time on this one since it was the first one. So next up, this is a monk from WizKids, and everything that I like about this painting was almost an accident. So you have what looks like the hair is starting to grow, which is actually just the primer showing through, and you've got he looks like has been in battle and rough and tumble, and so this was some accidental wet blending that happened when I was trying to do highlights too eagerly before the paint dried, and still ended up looking like battle damage instead of the highlights that I was going for, but turned out okay. This is a 90s toy called Muscle Men, and there's a few of them in this series. Basically because they are close to the D&D 28mm scale that we use for gaming, and they were just in a box that was from my childhood, and I figured instead of a straight up purple, this guy could be green and orange and be a fun addition to our miniatures. Alright, then we've got WizKids Wizard here, and this was the first time painting that clear plastic and trying to be able to leave it so that some light can still shine through. We've got another Muscleman toy here who actually is also one of the featured villains in our D&D campaign, the six-armed man there, and it looks like he's got a beard. It ended up being a beard. That's supposed to be the supporting chin strap of his helmet, I think, but oh well, he's got a beard, and it works as a beard. And it doesn't show it in this picture, but he's actually got two little extra faces carved in the back of his helmet as well. Alright, moving along, we've got a WizKids dwarf. This is the first time I ever painted something in two-tone, so it was essentially the brown and silver were the two colors there, as you can see. Next up we've got the WizKids elf, and this was another one where the sort of accidentally discovered dry brushing highlights wasn't intended to do that, and then ended up that's sort of what we got. So I just left him with the white hair, and I think it ended up being okay that it did. Alright, we've got yet another Muscleman here. This was my first time trying to paint an eyeball. I figured I would do it when it was such a big scale, since it's his whole head there under the helmet. This is a Bones miniature from Reaper Miniatures, and so this line of miniatures and this whole process very much taught me the importance of having the primer be fully covering the miniature, because if there were spots that I missed with the spray primer, then the paint just ran off of the miniature like water, whereas I think the WizKids ones are meant to be kind of pre-primed and ready to paint. This was a Pantheon Kickstarter from Quarter Pantheon, so obviously this is Poseidon, and this one actually, his arm is all blue there. I tried to paint it like water, but actually what happened is the trident part broke off, and so he's got sort of an extra layer of the two-part plastic holding the arm and trident together. Alright, this one we've got WizKids again for the snakekin, and this one I could not get dry brushing or highlighting, or I think I may have mixed in regular hobby paint that wasn't for painting miniatures, craft paint I mean, And so it was very obvious very quickly that the craft paints didn't apply as smoothly as the regular miniature painting paints. We've got another bones miniature here. This one, the model I think was maybe a miscast or a misprint. On the back side, he's got a bunch of parts of plastic that are sort of dug out of the material and sort of pulling away. So tried to paint it like it was ice and a cloak. So I think that turned out okay. And then we've got Ahsoka here from, this is the Star Wars Imperial Assault miniature. So definitely tried to pick a color scheme that would work in the D&D, and so it's a little different than her colors in the actual lore there. We've got a bones bandit here. These three bandits, they came in a little set, and I just had the hardest time priming these guys. I think the shields and the swords blocked a lot of the angles for the spray primer, so I kind of wrestled. I think this guy probably went back 3 or 4 times to the priming station there. Got a little baby Yoda. This is actually a 3D printer accuracy print test from Nerd HQ, local gaming store. And then so that's a fun little extra there. This is Ninarth. She's an NPC that features prominently in our D&D campaign, but this miniature is also the first heroforge miniature that we designed on heroforge, bought the STL, and then the awesome folks over at Nerd HQ did the 3D printing for me. So that's the first heroforge. We've got this frog jester from Stonehaven Miniatures. Originally was supposed to be a mage, ended up with the kind of the jester costume there. The Stonehaven Miniatures ran a Giants campaign and had all these little sidekicks. You'll see a couple of them in this video for the Kickstarter they did. Then we've got a mouse duelist. So I had them all sort of stored together. These two, the last one and this one, are the first metal miniatures that I had painted. And so this one, mouse duelist, and some of the other animal ones are from an anthropomorphic minis Kickstarter. And this one, the mushroom mage, is another Stonehaven. And then the same with the kobold bard here. They were all part of the same Giants Kickstarter there. We've got a dancing skeleton. This was a Skull and Bones Kickstarter from RBJ Game Company. And then we have got, this miniature is a mini from the Legends of Yashima board game. And this is actually one of the player characters. Miniature uses name of Patch. And so the crystal that she's holding is actually painted as a potato because that was one of Patch's favorite weapons of choice. So there's a little inside gaming story there for you. Next up, we have got the Squirrel Knight, and this is another one from that anthropomorphic miniatures. We've got this. So this is another one from Yashima, the Legends of Yashima board game. And this monk really just kind of, the wash worked and the highlighting worked, and a lot of it's really fun. And I was so happy with the rest of it that I left his beard and mustache flesh colored. I just couldn't bring myself to not trust myself to paint his whole face beard, so I kind of left it, and it works. It's still a lighter wispy mustache there. We've got Bones tiefling here, and then we have got the next up. We've got the Badger Rogue. This is another one from the anthropomorphic minis, and then another one from Stonehaven. Oh, sorry, the last one, this one, is a molekin, a mole person, and then the next one is this is the badger rogue from that anthropomorphic animals. Then that same quarter pantheon that had the Poseidon, now we've got Ares. And so this one, I started with a gold base coat, thinking I would do the whole, color scheme. And really it just ended up with being the Greek god, and these are a little bit bigger scale. It just seemed, if Ares was going to be playing himself, that golden statue coming alive was pretty fitting. We have got the snow leopard. Now obviously this was metal, so you could have painted it as any cat. And that's the same anthropomorphic one. Now, for those of you, this is deep in 90s toy trivia. This is actually Joe Eyeball, and Joe Eyeball is the sidekick of Muckman. And so in the 90s, I had all the Ninja Turtles figures, and there was one that was garbage based, and he had a little backpack, and this guy rode around in the backpack to be as an accessory. Like most of the figures came with weapons. Muckman came with Joe Eyeball here. So next up, we have got. So this is another different 90s toy. This is a monster in my pocket. So I painted him up to be sort of a barnacle golem there. We've got a piece from Terrain Crate. So this came originally as a brown terrain piece and painted up as a mirror. We've got a WizKids chest with the skull on the front. And then we've got that Terrain Crate, same thing. We've got some mining equipment. So I did try a couple of non-character pieces in my run, but that is how I spent my October. So there's the list there. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you like the content, please consider subscribing, liking. You can support us. We've got a Patreon page as well as written content on DriveThruRPG. So check those out, share us around, and this was all to get ready for the big Make a Mini from Scratch series we're going to do. And so now I've learned a little bit more about painting, tried it at least the most basic level, and we'll hopefully have that skill enough to be able to tell at the end that it was painted. So thanks Internet, we'll see you next time. We have got this little bar patron. It came with the Dwarven Forge Kickstarter. Holy cow, that's going to be fast. I'm going to need more than 5 seconds. Alright, hold on Internet.